de facto skill. You have to achieve that skill to work with color pencils. People are losing their cognitive skills. Some very few people who are the crux of everything, they will have all the knowledge.
What exactly happens behind it? The editor's screen.
You can still draw, but the touch will not come. My subjects are generally old structures.
Hello everyone, it's another interesting Friday, and in today's episode I had the privilege of speaking with Mr Avishek Nag, a data scientist, a published author and a self-taught artist. Avishek brings together the precision of statistics, the complexities of machine learning and the nuance of visual storytelling. With over 17 years of experience in the software industry and 3 compelling books under his belt, his work bridges the gap between technical depth and creative expression. From demystifying artificial intelligence and the machine learning fundamentals to warning us about the cognitive costs of over-reliance on generative technologies, Avishek speaks with clarity and conviction. But beyond the algorithms and equations lies another world, a world filled with ink, charcoal, color pencils, where abandoned buildings, crumbling walls and fading textures come to life through his art. So tune in and enjoy this conversation on technology, creativity and consciousness with a man equally home in the worlds of both code and canvas.
AI and ML is like full boom.
Basically, if you talk about AI, right, the AI, it is not like that at all, that AI has boomed across in the recent 5-6 years or in 7-8 years. It is not like that. AI was there, has been there for decades. In fact, in the 1950s time, right? So the research about artificial intelligence was there. And AI is a bigger umbrella under which ML, all this technique, data science and all these techniques comes. So when we talk about intelligence, right? Human intelligence. So human intelligence, what we do, we think, right? We think and we take decisions looking at our past actions. Past actions, whatever we have done, we gather experience, and from there, in future, if the same situation or something similar type of situation occurs, then we think, we go back to our history, we think, and then we take our call, take our decisions. We should not do that, we should have done that. So this is about the way human intelligence works. AI is also works in a similar way. So what actually it has been done, right? So crafting this human intelligence into a computer. That's what the AI is. How do you craft this? How do you craft this human intelligence, the way of working in a computer, and make it work as it is? So when AI, so in that sense, right? In that sense, everything is AI. Whatever we do simple programming also. That is something you can name it as AI. So even if you do so that kind of your chess games, right? So these apps are there where you can play chess, and the basically agent who is playing on behalf of the machine, they can take a call on the right moves of the chess game, right? So this is also AI driven. From the past actions, they have taken some calls, and from your moves, they can take a counter move. That way it has been evolved. So in that sense, AI was there. AI, it is, even if you write a simple program, right, that is also, some people name it as an AI. Simple coding, simple program, simple some kind of, right, even if you do it some banking calculation, right? So you are doing it artificially without using human involvement. That is also, some people say, some scientists say, that is also, you can name it as an AI. But specifically when it gains special attention when you gather your past actions, your past data, and from there you build some intelligence model, and from there you leverage that model to take future calls. There your machine learning come into the picture. You learn by experience, right? You keep your past actions with the result, whatever result you got, and from there you take a call, you build some intelligence, and from there you take a call in future. The same situation happens, and that model is your knowledge, a learning about your past actions. And when in future, when you want to leverage that model, you go to it and ask for the decisions. The model can answer, okay, don't do it or do it. That is machine learning. And in a machine learning, generally two stages are there. One is your learning, how do you build the model, and second is your inference, how do you utilizing the model. How do you utilize the model? So these two are separate things. First is learning, second is inference.
And who will feed the data to artificial intelligence? What is the process?
That is also a computer program. The data is available publicly. Data generally is available publicly. So there are, from the software system, in talking about software systems, right? There are mechanisms to feed the data into this program, learning program. It's a completely separate discussion. How do you train? How do you manage the data? How do you keep the data? How do you compress the data? How do you make it available to the machine learning systems? So this is a complete separate part, which is a part of a data engineering, comes under data engineering. Now we are talking about this machine learning. So these data, once it is fed into the model is what? Model is basically a program. It is not exactly a program. The program is there to build the model. Model, generally different types of models are there. First of all, tell me, we should discuss what is a model is. Model is nothing but about either it can be an equation or some kind of computer data structure like tree or graph or something like that, right? Neural network is also a graph, computational graph. Decision tree is a tree. Or it can be an equation. This is an equation with some coefficients. That's not a model, more or less. In this deep learning era, mostly all models are computational graphs. If you talk about core statistical models, then the models used to be generally equations, mostly equations. Linear regression is an equation, or whatever things you use is mostly in terms of equations. So that is a model. So to build that equation, what do you need? You need to build the coefficients of the equations. You need to have the right value of the coefficients. Yeah. So to have that right value, you need that training program. You need the model building exercise. So you go to the data, you get the data, you iterate over the data, and you try training your model and try building the values, extracting the values of the right value of the coefficient. There is a specific algorithm. There are specific algorithms are there, and those algorithms are model specific. The algorithm which works for the linear regression, that same algorithm will not work for the decision tree. The algorithms are different, and the techniques and methods are also different for training those models. So once the model is trained, then you go to the inference stage, and you use the model. To use the model also, you need to feed the model a data, which is a question, in terms of a question, and you get the answer. This is the core machine learning fundamentals. You see, that way it works. Now in the era of LLMs, right? So the same thing has been done in a much more sophisticated manner. You talk generally in the era of LLMs, right? So we have this traditional software engineering. Yeah. You build something, you write a code and everything. Now, in the traditional software engineering, the things used to be component driven. The interfacing used to be component driven, right? You write some component and you use some design patterns and all those things, and you keep the component separate. All this reusability, you also might be familiar with all those concepts, right? So now in this modern era, the component driven development has been an AI driven development, has been converted into an AI driven development. Now we used to talk about the interfacing in API interface and all this thing. Now the new terminology has come, which is known as AI interface. AI interface, right? So you talk everything in terms of human language, in your natural language. You give instructions and you get the output. The model will take care of everything. Model will take care of giving you the right answer. Even nowadays, you don't have to even have write a code also. The model can generate the code for you in the era of generative AI. So, by the way, there is a bigger level distinctions between these models. One is your discriminative model and another generative model. The model which I talked about earlier, linear regression, all these, those are discriminative model. It takes generally some discrete decisions or some discrete values. It spits out some discrete values. But in generative models, right, it generates data. It generates your it can generate text, can generate image, can generate your decisions also, which decisions you will take. That also it can tell you. So in this LLMs era, so nowadays everything it is being, now that's the reason I told it is being natural language driven. That's the reason the AI interfacing the terminology has come into the picture. How do we interface everything with AI? So this old era of this component driven interfacing, right? It is nowadays fading away in some experts' opinion. I would say I keep a different vision. Whatever I am just telling you, it is not exactly what I think about it. It is actually what industry thinks about it. I have a different vision, so I'll tell you later. I have a different vision of looking at it. So that's what this is. AI interfacing is an era of AI interfacing, and everything people are running behind LLMs. It is doing some magic and everything, and it is actually doing. People are doing a lot of research also. Sometimes it is difficult to keep track of everything, what's going on, but it is what it is. People are doing it. Industry are putting money into it, and that way it is going on. And AI is basically having a lot of pace.
Actually, a lot of effort goes understanding the code, C, C++, Java, so many things. Now it is like ChatGPT, give one prompt, it will give this one.
That's a very good thing, and that has a very bad side effect also. People are forgetting. People will forget. Tomorrow that's what my vision comes into the play. Tomorrow people will forget how to write code, how to write even plain English also, because the Copilot and everything is correcting everything, right?
Yeah.
People will forget. So they are doing an awesome job, but still it has a side effect. Even if you're taking a medicine, right?
Yeah.
To diagnose a disease, right? So that also may have some side effects. It is a side effects. People will forget, and ultimately what is happening right now, you will see after this COVID era, what I observed, I don't know whether it's because of this too much usage of AI and everything, people are losing their cognitive skills. People are losing their cognitive skills. They don't have time to think. Patience is not there. Because if everything is AI driven, you don't have to think to do anything. Everything is feed onto you. So okay, that is available. So why should I think? If you don't think, then your thinking ability slowly will fade away. Very important. Ultimately, it will eat up everything. I know. Because ultimately what's happening, it is now economy of the gigs, right? Yeah. What will happen after some years? Some very few people who are the crux of everything, they will have all the knowledge. They will have all the skills. And the rest of the peoples will be all idiots. Surrounded by idiots.
Yes.
There is a book, I have that book, Surrounded by Idiots. So the author wrote it thinking about some different context. But the scenario is happening over here. What will happen, the nucleus will be some very knowledgeable people. Nucleus will be filled up by very knowledgeable people. They will have all the skills. They will know how to code, how the internals workings are there, how does it work actually internally. And rest of the folks will be all like this, surrounded by idiots. They don't know anything. They don't have any skills to think. They don't read. They don't think. They just execute some actions. They will execute some actions.
Yeah.
You give some instructions, they will execute. They don't think. They don't speak properly. They don't have any decisions making skills also. So these people will be majority. You'll see that is coming actually. It is good for those geeks who has this internal knowledge. That's why I always tell people, preserve your knowledge. If you know the fundamentals, preserve it, because days are coming. You will be the most valued person. Because whatever skills you are having inside you, right, that will be valued, very much valued after some years, after some decades. Definitely it will happen, because the new generation will not have the fundamental knowledge. They will be living on at a high level always. They will not be knowing what's going on there inside. Everything is AI driven. No, AI interface is there. I don't have to think anything. If you don't think, if you don't practice. So a practice makes a man perfect. There is a say, right? If you don't practice, so everything will fade away. So internals, they will not know anything. That's what is happening. With being an AI person, I know this is the very bad thing which is happening, but can't do anything.
The side effects of progress,
Side effect of progress. Yes, side effects of progress.
And how is Python related here?
So AI Python actually became a de facto standard of this data science, machine learning, and AI practice. It became. Because of the availability, community support, popularity in the research community, slowly it picked up the pace and slowly it took the place of becoming the de facto standard of AI. And also it is a very short syntaxed, and you can with a writing a lot less amount of code, right? You can do a lot of things. That's the advantage it has. It has other disadvantage also, but nowadays it is fading away because of the availability of the sophisticated compute resources and cloud and everything. So those restrictions or limitations are also slowly fading away. But initially it had. But right, it became, because of the library supports and everything, it picked up the popularity, and especially from the research community. Where the other language like Java and everything, Java has a lot of popularity in server programming, in commercial applications, but there also Python is stepping into and having its footprint. There also you can say the Python has a stronghold over there. So, but data science community, right? Python has become de facto standard. Python is easy to learn also, not like Java, easy to learn. But I would suggest if you are a beginner in a programming world, don't learn Python as first. Learn a full scale, completely, I would say, non-scripting flavored language. Python is little scripting flavored. Right, non-scripting flavored language like C++ or Java. Learn it fully, grasp it, and then come back to the Python. Then go to the Python. Then what will happen? You will build your fundamentals well, programming fundamentals, and then you learn a shorter syntax language like Python, which is easy to code. Then your full circuit will be completed. Otherwise, again, the same problem. Fundamentals will be weak. That's what.
I know the struggle. I was never able to understand Java or C++. Anyway, forget it. So now I don't want to learn. I have other skill sets to make my livelihood. So here, see, this is one thing. The whatever the surface level we see is a language. We get an editor and then we type the language. System will give this is syntax in one color. This another thing is in one color. Text is another color. So if we go even further basic, what exactly happens behind the editor string?
No, actually, to understand that, you don't have to understand that fully to write programs.
Okay.
So there was a time where people had to understand the internals extremely well. Otherwise, you couldn't program. There was a time in 60s, 70s time. There was a time, so you have to understand microprocessor internals also. Where to move your data from which memory location. You should have that time a solid understanding of the OS and microprocessor. But nowadays it's not the same picture. You can sit at a very high level and can still do programming without understanding what's going beyond. But for your knowledge, actually what happens, these programs, this instruction, what you are giving, that's get converted to a low level instructions. Level machine coding level instructions, and then it depends on the architecture of the programming language. But nowadays you don't have to learn that much about the internals, how it is working, unless you are working in a very low level programming language. To understand those aspects well, you have to learn computer architecture, you have to learn operating system well, microprocessor well. 3 subjects: computer architecture, operating system, and microprocessor. If you learn these 3 subjects well, right, then you will be able to understand what's going on behind everything. Nowadays,
the operating system, Linux boot process. Oh my God.
Those are difficult things.
This is all about technical knowledge, but can I know more about yourself?
So I am an author, and I have written 3 books on data science, AI, and statistics. Mainly now, my research area is more on statistics, applied statistics, and financial statistics actually. So my recent book is on finance, statistical finance. The book name is Stochastic Finance with Python. It is published by Appraise. It was more or less got good reputation in the market. Some of the quant finance in experts like Dimitri Bianco, he praised it a lot on his YouTube channel. He requested for a book. I sent him a copy. He published a review about the book. It is about your financial markets. How do you model your stocks, portfolios, and your options using statistical methodologies. there is a subject in statistics and probability known as a stochastic process. So it is based on that, and obviously the implementation is with Python. So people who are doing research using applied statistics or quantitative finance, or if he or she is a data scientist, then this book might help him or her to understand how this statistical ideas is applied in financial sector modeling and everything. Especially if it is stochastic process driven. Actually, the basic idea of the book is there is a concept in statistics known as a stochastic differential equation.
What is the meaning of stochastic?
Stochastic means random. You talked about random, right? Stochastic means random. Stochastic is a technical term. Random is like generally normal English term people use it, but stochastic is a technical term which is known as random. So you have a random behavior of financial stock price and everything. It goes ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. So how can you forecast? You have ups and downs always, but how can you model it? Can you forecast the future prices of a stock?
Is it possible?
It is possible. It is possible, but obviously you will have some errors over there. Some mistakes, errors will be there. So my approach of this writing a book, right? So can we also quantify that error? How much error will be there? How much mistakes will be there? Can we know that? It is possible to know, obviously. So the error will be there, but with how much error bounds can you just pre-compute those error bounds? Under which limit the stock prices will float around, right? Will it be around 1,000 to 1,500, or will it be around 1,000 to 1,200? Which is the correct one? And what is the most probable value within 1,000 to 1,200? I predicted. What is the most probable value? Most probable value may be 1,100, could be, or 1,101, could be. So what is the probability of having those values, and how can we basically keep forecasting for different time periods? Tomorrow's value, day after tomorrow's value, day and day after tomorrow's value, after 1 week's value. So these kind of things, right? So and the other thing, right? So we have these derivatives on top of your normal stocks, right? You have derivatives, and actually derivatives market is the thing which drives the stock market.
Yeah.
Derivatives market. It's not, people have a misconception, right? So a lot of stocks are being sold and bought, but actually that does not push up the stock market. Stock market is driven by the derivatives market. Actual transactions happens through derivatives.
So puts and calls, you're talking about options, right?
Actual revenue comes from the derivatives market.
So this stochastic financial analysis book you have written, so that will also help to understand the ups and downs of the options, like
options, yes.
P's and C's.
P's and C's, your puts and calls are there. And obviously some standard models. See, those, whatever I wrote in the book, it is not like that I invented those models. The models were there. But the problem, those models are either it is not properly explained somewhere, or it is theoretically explained but practically not explained, practically not implemented, especially with Python, especially with writing with proper design patterns, good coding practices. So I basically put everything together in a book. So this single book, if somebody goes through this single book, they can have a full 360-degree view of the subject. From the theory, understanding probability, understanding the statistics, stochastic process, till how to model these financial assets using Python and keep forecasting. That's the understanding they will have.
What about the other book?
Other 2 books I've written. In the last 5 years, I've written 3 books, I told. This is the third one, which I talked about, your Stochastic Finance with Python. So the other 2 books, one is there in survival analysis. That is also a little not so popular subject. Many people don't know it. Stock market, everyone knows, but survival model, it is about, in short, I'll tell you. So it is about modeling an event in which case you couldn't capture the time of the event actually. So for example, one very naive example will be, generally this subject is applied in biostatistics. Maybe one patient, right, is going regularly in a doctor's chambers for checkups, regular checkups. and someday the doctor noticed that after some day the patient is not coming anymore. Then what might have caused? Either the patient died or he is already recovered. But at which day he or she died, the doctor will not know, right? Doctor will not know because the patient suddenly stopped coming from one day. It might happen that he died on the same day, or it might happen he died just 2 days before. That is unknown, completely unknown. The event, death is an event that is not known, right? How do you model such things? So you have the data, means you are taking a data between certain intervals, and after a certain interval you got that event has occurred, the patient has stopped coming. That is an event, stopped coming. But what is the actual time of his death? We don't know. So obviously it is not possible to know also at what time, but through probabilistic analysis, what we can do, we can give, again the forecasting things comes into the picture. We can at least forecast at what time these future possible events can occur by looking at the history. Obviously in medical field, in patient diagnosis, it is heavily used, especially in drug analysis. Not exactly drug discovery, I would say your medicine testing, right? Effect of the medicine. What is the effect of the medicine on certain patients? So there is some applications of survival analysis is there. Exposure of the medicine. And in manufacturing sector also it is there, it is used. And I used in some device identifications, device was failing and right time couldn't be captured. So these kind of situations were there. So there, manufacturing sector also, if something is happening inside some machine, right, and you don't have a real-time sensor there, you don't have a real-time sensor to capture the actual time of maybe something is breaking or something is happening, you don't have, then what will you do? You have basically mechanisms to capture time at, maybe you are you're capturing time at start of something and end of something, but the real-time sensor is not efficient or sensitive enough to capture the actual thing which is happening in between these two. So in these situations, the survival analysis is useful. You model it and you forecast the future events, such future events, whether it's happened. Then you take precautions, right? Okay, this failure again may come. I should take precaution. It is forecasting that the failure can occur again. What is the expected time of that failure, right? Maybe it can happen within 30 minutes. The same kind of failure in some manufacturing sector, right? Some machines are failing. So the machine can again fail in 30 minutes. So you take precautions. You maybe reduce the load or check some configurations. So that is the use of this.
So is it applicable in predicting, for example, avalanches? Because
avalanche. Generally, it is flood and everything. It can predict actually. The bull model and everything. It is you actually see. You are talking about, you are not a statistical. You just caught it. Yeah. That's the mindset we need. Identification of the problem. Avalanche. See, you don't know when it will come, right? You cannot even capture the actual time. So there it is possible. There it is.
Avalanches, earthquakes, tsunamis.
Exactly. There you can.
So, I think it's a very tough subject. I mean,
tough it is there because it is not so widely used and people don't know. So anyway, statistics is a subject which is disliked and by most of the people.
Yeah.
Another book is I wrote it almost 5 years back. It is typical machine learning, pragmatic machine learning using Python. Typical machine learning. If you are a beginner at machine learning, then you should follow this book. It has a much wider use, unlike survival analysis. Everyone wants to know about ML right nowadays. They can read the book. It is easily written, mainly for freshers and for not very advanced, unlike these other two books. The other two books are advanced actually. So pragmatic machine learning, it is for all. It's for all.
What is your education background?
I'm an MTech in from BITS Pilani in this data analytics. I stopped after that. See, I did my MTech while working. I almost 18 years I am working in the software industry. I did my MTech while I had almost 7 years experience. While working, I did that. And then I got into this data analytics, AI and machine learning field and started doing my research. Right now, I am also involved in my research. A lot of this, especially in the finance sector, modeling and everything. So I'm trying to build something. So I authored the book and then my research is continuing on some other areas in finance.
So the book part, I'll ask this one. I also wrote one narrative fiction. It's a story. How did you? So, for example, my book Unfailing, I still feel it is not complete. There is something I have to add, or something is missing, or so. When did you actually conclude that this is ready for publishing? This is ready now.
So basically, when you write this kind of technical books, right? Technical books, which is either written for freshers, or for students, or for experienced professionals or researchers. Generally, except the first book, the other two books are mainly written for experienced professionals and mainly researchers. So writing a technical book and writing a novel or fiction is completely different. Technical book is much more concrete, and there you need to crack some hard nut, and you need to just write it in that way so that people understands. Basically, unlike fiction books, right, these technical books has, when you pick up a subject, right, the subject has certain areas, and you decide the boundaries of those areas beforehand, before going down. Unlike fiction, right, you don't know the boundary. The boundary comes once you start writing it. But in technical books, that is the advantage. You can fix the boundary. Okay, I will cover this much. I will not cover more than this. So that is already predefined by you, by the author. In my case, I decide it. And then you start writing it. And sometimes what happens, due to some time shortages and everything, you may not be able to finish what you were thinking. Then you can cut it down. It is easy to cut down the fat of the book in technical books rather than the fiction books. Fiction books, if you want to cut down the fat, then what will happen? Your story will get distorted, may get distorted. So that is a problem. But in technical books, you can do it. Maybe you can omit two chapters. Okay, I'll not cover that area. I will cover it in the next edition. Right? There is a chance of bringing second edition, third edition, first. In fact, I also had a similar problem with this book, Stochastic Finance with Python. I had initially I thought of the book will be much more bigger. Because of the health issues and everything, I couldn't continue. I thought of cut it down. I omitted almost 2-3 chapters. Right now it has 10 chapters. Initially, when I planned, it has almost 12-13 chapters. 2-3 chapters, I just cut it down. So maybe next edition will have those. So that way you can plan, and that is the flexibility of writing a non-fiction or technical book.
Next book, what is the next book is about?
I'm doing research. I have some plans to in the finance sector itself. I am just doing. I took a break actually. I haven't really decided what to do. But will be, if I do I am planning to do some research on the statistical mechanics also. Statistical mechanics of the financial market. How the statistical mechanics principle can be applied in financial markets. Maybe I can create some content over there. And some financial copulas and everything, those areas are also there. Copula also, I have some plans. So we'll see. I haven't really decided, just... though I have planned to write it in my native, not in English, my native language, about this theory of probability.
What is your native language?
Bengali.
Okay.
Bengali. So I have plans to write a book on there. What is that? Because in English you will find a lot of books on those areas, non-fiction books. Theory of probability in a layman's term, in a philosophical way. The philosophical view of the subject, right? History, you talked about the history, how it came, so that from an arts background, folks also can read and understand without touching upon any math. If you use a single formula, the 90% look will run away. So don't use anything. So just tell the story, how it came, how it applicable to the stock market, how did I apply. You can tell the story in a just like a storytelling fashion. For example, you're writing a novel. So that way I have plans. I have started something. Maybe, let's see.
You don't know. Again, it is stochasticness.
Stochastic.
It's a good word. It's nice word to spell.
Stochastic is a very sophisticated word. Tongue twister is a very sophisticated and very soothing to listen, actually. Very soothing. Stochastic is very soothing, right? The soothingness is there.
Exactly. Nice. So you are from West Bengal. I don't know. I thought Maybe I thought like you're from Orissa because I'll tell you one guy. I have a friend called Soumya.
Okay.
He is from Bhadrak, Orissa. When I saw your face, it is like complete as it is, like resemblance. So I saw there is Som Rider. He's a bullet rider. I met him when I was crossing on my bicycle from Gurudaspur to Jammu.
Okay, is it?
Yeah. So I was on my bicycle. He just crossed and he saw me, and then we both talk. He said like, I'm from Bhadrak. Because I had this plan to circumnavigate the Indian mainland and the northeast. So I completed that project. So
good. You should also write a book or traveler story, something like that. There's a lot of photos. Your book should have a lot of photos, photographs. Just publish it.
Yeah. I have plans, but see, it's a very tough job.
Book writing means, first of all, you lose your health. Your eyesight problem. See, I suffered. That's the reason I have to cut down 3 chapters from my book. Eyesight problem. You will have.
Sleeplessness, incompleteness, the thought process of incompleteness, it's not complete yet. I can add something more. Good. But I have ideas because I have already done done with one book, so I should be able to put it in words. I'll try. Now we'll talk about the art thing. Do you remember the very first piece of art you?
I remember when I was a kid, actually.
You are a painter, like, is it a natural skill or have you learned painting?
Learned. I told right at the beginning. I learned for 5-6 years when I was a kid. I used to read at 5th standard, probably, 3rd or 4th standard, probably. I got admitted into some art school at Kolkata. And then I learned till 9th standard. When I was in 9th standard, that means almost 5-6 years almost. I learned there. I finished my certifications also, few certifications, 2nd or 1st year certifications. Due to that, but after that, due to studies, pressure and everything, I had to leave. There is a long story. Actually, after I left also, sometime I used to draw, sometime I used to but very informal. I was very informal sometime, but very infrequently. Maybe in 2 years, I draw only once, something like that. I used to do. I got some momentum in the year of 2015. Suddenly, I went to some shop. I saw some. Drawing books and everything, and then I started, just out of curiosity, I just bought something and I started drawing again in the 2015. But that also sustained only for 2-3 months. After that, again, I had to leave due to job pressure and everything. Now, last year, what happened? Due to this book authoring and everything, so I got fed up and I had to finish it. My eyesight was also, my eyes also giving a lot of trouble. I was not well also physically. So then I thought, what can I do to revive everything? I need a refresher, something refresher. Then I thought, why don't I start again my old habit, my old passion? Then I started. This time formally. Means formally I landed up as an artist. I created my social handles everywhere. My Instagram was very underprepared earlier. Now I prepared it properly. I created a Facebook page, separate Facebook page for my artist profile. And I started drawing regularly. I started attending online exhibitions. Then I landed up attending offline exhibitions. Now in Kolkata, I recently attended almost 3-4 exhibitions. Now I'm a full-time, I'm a professional artist. I do have my portfolio. I have my followers, 11,000 followers I have in my Facebook account. People follow me. And my mediums are mainly pencil, color pencil, pen, fine liners, ink pens. I like drawing in ink pens also. You will see in this Instagram also a lot of drawings has been done in ink pens. Fountain pen actually. Color pencils.
That nib wala, the olden days pen.
It's an old one, fountain pen, old fountain pens. So there are a lot of.
How do you draw with fountain pens?
That's an artist skill, right?
Yeah.
You can manage. You have to manage. I like drawing with fountain pen. I like it very much.
Writing with the fountain pen and that ink, will put.
But nowadays, this situations has changed, and the sophistication has come in that area also. Fountain pens are there, but it is not exactly difficult.
Those wooden pens, no?
Not wooden. This time it is plastic and metal pens are there. So, but they are not so difficult what they used to be earlier. Nowadays, there are two different mechanisms in fountain pens comes. One is adapter based. One is your direct. Your fillers are there. So once you use a adapter, right, you can fill ink over there, and you can just pull it off, and just the channel will be filled with the ink, and then you can use it. Obviously, some problems are there always with fountain pens, but the fountain pens has a separate flavor, separate glamour, separate passion, separate touch. Nobody can match it. Only people know who use it.
And then the ink touching on the fingertips and the smell of the ink.
Default that will come. But nowadays, so that's the thing. The modern era inks, right, they are not smelly that much. In fact, you can get flavored inks. I use one of the flavored inks. It will give you nice flavor. Even if your fingers get soaked with inks, right? No problem. You will get nice flavor instead of bad smell. So those are things. Those are flavored inks are there. So I use different colors of inks: black, blue, green, and color pencil. Obviously, color pencil is one of my favorite medium. I use a lot of color pencil. Most of the drawings are done in color pencil only. Charcoal I also use, mainly charcoal, various type of pens, inks, and color pencil. These three mediums I use. I don't use oil or watercolor also. I don't use that much. Sometimes I try, but I'm not a watercolor painter. Oil I don't use as of now. In future I may use, but as of now I'm liking only color pencil and those things. And at least the exhibitions, whatever exhibitions I attended, my drawing works all are mainly there. Whatever I presented there mainly on color pencils.
So the artist is if you have learned, because if it is not an inborn talent, if it is practiced and then learned and then you actually studied art, is it a formula or you develop a skill without a formula? How does it work?
Actually, I'll tell you, art by practice and by learning, you can do something, but inborn skills should be there, have to be there. Otherwise, what happens, right? You can still draw, but the touch will never come.
Liveliness, maybe.
Liveliness and touch, that finishing, it will never come. And you can still draw. I learned actually, maybe I had that some sort of little bit of artistic touch inside me, which pushed me to in this area. Otherwise, I would not have, right? Otherwise, so generally, people who learn for the sake of learning, they leave after a certain time. So anyway, right? So I just did it and I thought
it's not a formula then.
There is no specific formula to learn art.
So I never had this drawing ability. I only know one thing: the mountains and then sun and then two small like this. I'll show you something. The birds are like this.
Okay.
These are the birds.
Yeah, I used to do that the same way.
These are the birds, and then one sun, and then a small hut. It's all symmetrical triangles, and then one small jharna.
Basic primitive model, again machine learning, primitive models which everyone builds, right?
That's it.
Sophistication will come later.
But later, what happened? When so somebody told me you have to make a graph, a table, like make boxes and then small photo, use the dimensions and then make these dimensions 3x4. So you actually develop it into A4 size. So in that you draw these number of lines, standing lines and then sleeping lines, and then use the same there. So this is how. This is what I understood. But that's why I thought it is a formula.
See, there are what you said, right? Formula means some shortcuts, some mechanisms, some methodologies are there to learn art or to draw a picture. Obviously, those are there, but there is no. I would say there is no hard and bound. There is no hardcore formula there in that sense. So just art in that sense, right? It doesn't have, unlike my other area. I'm like you can say Dr. Jekyll and Hyde kind of. So my Dr. Jekyll part and Mr. Hyde part, I have two sides, right? Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. So unlike Dr. Jekyll part, so there is a technical line. So there's some formulas are there. So some guidelines are there. You need to follow those guidelines and you can study in that way. But art, unlike that area, art does not have that solid guidelines. Boundaries are not well defined in that way. Some artwork may be heavily liked by maybe a group of folks, and the same artwork will be disliked by a group of folks. Same thing happens. I've seen it in my case also, in my artwork also. Some people criticized, okay, your compositions is not good. Some other ladies praising my artwork like anything. The other guy was, no, your composition, you have this bent line and all this thing. I drew a very old building, right? So that fellow was criticizing, no, this composition was not right. He was not able to tell anything about my color because my color was like completely realistic. He was not able to find any flaws, but he was trying to. Some people are like that, right? You were trying to, well, no, this is not right, that is not right. Some other lady was telling, no, a composition, I don't find any composition. He's looking at from a different angle, so obviously the composition will look like this. Why are you saying this is not right? So that's why I'm saying. So these different visions from different people. That's why art doesn't have any boundary. I told you, art doesn't have any boundary, and the prizes are given in the art exhibitions. Also, you will find that one artwork got so many prizes in one exhibition, but it did not get anything in the other exhibition. The judges did not like it, but the previous one, the judges liked it very well. It is on the vision. Especially it happens with abstract art. Abstract art, it has a different message inside the art, right? People only who connect to that message, they only can praise it.
Abstract art. What is this?
Abstract means which does not exist in reality. Which does not exist.
So how do you perceive one natural photograph? Just like the way I have meant. Because I saw Ravindra Setu, the Howrah Bridge.
Howrah Bridge.
How you perceive this one from this side, from this? How it will go on paper? Like what happens in your mind when you see it?
Those will come naturally because once you start practicing art, right? You are an artist, and once you start practicing art, so those skills will naturally develop. Those skills. There are some rules. Obviously, rules are there. Compositions. How do you make compositions? How do you make a first sketch? So generally there's a rule that don't focus on too much details on at a very first time. Just see the outlines and try to put it. Then go to the details. Detailing, add detailing. Don't start adding detailing at a very first stage. Build a structure first. Just have some rough sketches. Then start putting detail like that way. So,
and how do you achieve the colors, natural colors?
Natural colors, though, is your touch. Touch matters.
It's a skill again. There is
skill. Your understanding of the color theory, basic color theory understanding should be there. Obviously, that should be there. You can read also some books for basic color theory understanding. I also read books, color theory understanding, and then it is skill. How well you can mix your colors, blend your colors. Especially color blending is a primary skill when you are working with color pencil. I have my YouTube channel on art. I have two YouTube channels, one on my art, another on my data science. Two different areas, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So there I explained. Color blending is a de facto skill. You have to achieve that skill. You have to get that skill to work with color pencils. Working with color pencils is very difficult, especially color blending. Not all brands of pencils color blends very well. You have difficulty in blending the color, mixing the colors. So that flexibility will come with your natural skill and with your developed skill. Natural skill is your talent, right? And the developed skill comes through practice. I would say talent matters 10%, 90% is practice. Talent obviously matters. Obviously.
So if I want to understand the color blending skills in a very layman's term, like just simply, because this background, I just like the black, that's it. I want to put some decoration to look it attractive, but my eyes, I don't want to put much creativity in color mixing. Let it be plain, so it looks decent. So how to understand, to compose colors?
Compose
It's very simple.
It will understand color theory. Which colors are close to each other? Which colors are completely contrast to each other, opposite to each other? Just like, for example, green and red are completely contrast in color. In a color theory, you will see a circle. Inside that circle, green and your red are 180 degree apart. 180 degree apart. So those are opposite colors. You need to understand those colors, which are completely opposite and which are close to each other. Right? So just for example, yellow and orange are close to each other.
Yeah. Yellow and orange.
Just like that. Green and greenish blue are close to each other. Right? Close to each other. But red and green, completely opposite. So just like that, you have to, especially people working with red, they have to be very careful. If they do mistakes, in fact, by small mistake, they apply red somewhere, right? It is very difficult to wipe it off. It doesn't go. Other colors also cannot compensate and it gets messy. You have to throw it off. So especially if you are working with watercolors, it happens. With pencil still you can manage, but in watercolors you can't. Once you do it, you can't. You have to throw it off. So those color theory understand. It will come. Read books. Reading more than reading books. It is a practice. Practice and read books. 20% reading books. 80% practice. Will basically see. Being a technical background, I see things from a technical standpoint. So while sometimes people completely try to do things by practice, I try to see things from a concrete way, from a coloring or perspective also. I try to understand the technical background of the things. How does it look like? Why it is so? What is the color theory? What should you? Those things I try to focus on because of my technical background. So that's my way of working. Some people may have some different way of working, which they are comfortable with. But because of my background, I prefer that method.
And coming back to the same kind of question as in technical, when you decide this art is complete, this piece of Ravindra Setu picture is ready for, posted on Instagram.
On Instagram. That completeness will come by practice. So you'll see the original photo, compare it, try to compare it. It doesn't have to be a copy of the original photo, right? You can have your imagination, you can put your imagination. You decide your completeness. If you are trying to copy something, copy means you are trying to convert the original photo and you are trying to create a hyper realistic art. There is a practice or methodology in art which is known as a hyper realism. Hyper realism, completely realistic. Hyper realism means the original photo and the artwork will look exactly similar. It's a very difficult task. Drawing a hyper realistic art is very difficult. So that completeness you can, even from a layman's term also, you can do that. Is it looking similar? Shapes are similar, colors are similar. Color and shape, these two are most important thing, right? Color, shapes and shades. Shape, shade and color. Basic color, how the shading is happening, blending or shading is happening, and the shape. These three things are important, right? So you just try to match with the original photo. Then you decide it is complete. It is looking exactly similar. But if you talk about abstract art, there is no definition of completeness. It is artist's choice.
So this photograph I saw on your social handles, there is a car in black and white car. I really loved the picture actually.
So there was a photograph.
In terms of completeness, explain that picture.
Ink, that was done in ink not in fountain ink. It is a fine liner ink. There is a different type of ink, fine liner ink using. So that was a photo which I converted into this ink art.
Okay.
There was a photo. I converted that photo. It was an old abandoned car, abandoned in a jungle. It is broken. Its number plates are coming out.
Yeah.
It is abandoned completely. Bushes is there around cars. The trees are there. It is abandoned in jungle. I just saw the photo somewhere, and I thought of, why don't I just convert it into an artwork?
That one is there is a lot of, I don't know, this is what the mind sees, what it chooses to see. I felt a lot of depth in that photograph.
Art, that's why doesn't have boundary. You like the photo, some other guy may not like it. So in your vision, it is the best one. It is the good one. But
And the second one is the broken house.
Oh yeah, broken house. Two photos are there of the broken house. Oh,
Yes.
one is the
It's a kind of broken bungalow. It's a tower. It's broken in the half.
and the one tree is there, right?
Yes.
So the old abandoned, some kind of which house, some kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Which house? Harry Potter wala which
Yeah, something like that. Harry Potter wala.
Oi. So that was also like that was also taken from a reference, and I just put my thoughts and everything. I just tried to. That was done in color pencil, fully in color pencil on color paper.
Okay.
Color paper. It is not a white paper. You know the color of the paper on which paper I draw it. It is grey, completely grey, just like your background.
Yeah.
It is little lighter than your background, the original color of the paper. Actually, using color paper, what I think, what I have seen, color paper, if you use color pencil on a color paper, the color comes better than a white paper. The actual prominency of the colors comes much better than a white paper. Artists say that, expert artists around the corner who are literally expert artists, they say that. I just followed their principles. I just took the lesson from them. I just then thought, okay, let's do the same. Then I thought, yeah, it is.
Which is easy, pencil art or, of course, art, there is nothing easy or difficult. It's about the vision.
It is person to person varies, right? So I feel watercolor is very difficult. My personal opinion. Pencil may be much more easier, but some other people think watercolor is easier, pencil is difficult. It is perspective varies from person to person. I'm not an art from an art background. I learned art by myself. I had some initial training, but I learned art by myself. I'm not a professional art background. I don't have. Right now, I'm a professional artist. Okay, I attend exhibitions. Once you attend exhibitions, you become a professional artist. That's true. But still, I don't have that background at all. My background is completely different. You know that. So now, people coming from a professional art background, they have a different perspective of looking at the artwork. Completely different perspective. I see, with my technical background, I see artwork in a different way. They see it in a different way. So that's the reason I told ki art doesn't have any boundary, doesn't have any definition, doesn't have any clear roadmap or whatever you say. It varies from limitless. It is absolutely limitless. It varies from person to person. People coming from art colleges, they see artworks in a completely different way. So
you can paint anybody if you can paint anything that you see.
Generally, I am not that skillful. I draw. And generally, I prefer, my subjects are generally old structures. As I said, old abundant structure. You might have seen, right? Most of my artworks are old abundant structures, which is broken, which is old, which is abundant. Nobody goes there, which is spooky. That I like. Somehow, I don't know why, but I like.
You also draw the Colosseum also, no? The Colosseum and the Pisa Tower.
Pisa Tower. Colosseum, not Pisa Tower, Colosseum one. The Colosseum one. Yeah, I draw it. Yeah. I draw it. Those comes into that subject area, right? Either broken, either old, abundant, spooky, broken. My areas.
Because you like that kind of structures, that the thought process about picking such kind of thing, there's a deep meaning or something in depth the thought process. See, it will all connect to your soul or something like that. That's how I felt it. Whether it is right or not, you have to tell me.
Yeah, that happens. That happens. That happens. That happens. I don't know why, but I just I like that, and I just drawing structures. I felt, especially the color combinations in those old structures, right? Especially when you draw old building, lot of these patchworks and lot of this mixture of colors, because once the rainwater comes there, right, you'll see those lines. If you see those witch house which you were talking about, you'll see your signs of the rainwater coming down from the wall. That is painted. I use that. That is painted because on those type of your, the old houses, right? The rain keeps falling on, and the rainwater leaves a line over there.
Yeah.
Leaves a track. And it becomes very old, and their patches becomes prominent in your walls, and the colors become fade, and sometimes the colors take a complete different form. Originally, what it used to be, after fading away, after mixing with sunlight, rainwater, it becomes completely different. Orange becomes reddish, orange becomes yellowish becomes orange, reddish, and brown comes into the picture. A lot of mixtures happens. And those shades, right, you have to have a lot of this blending, right amount of blending is needed. Somehow I like it, I do it. People like it, rather, I would say. It's a different type of subject. Sometimes you'll see people have a lot of passion towards portrait. I don't do portrait. That's the reason. I thought of choosing this subject. I thought people don't do that, then let's do it. So rather than in India, like people, what I've seen, I interact with a lot of foreign artists also. They like it more. Rather than India, people have a passion towards portrait and these things. But in outside, right? So they have this passion towards this drawing old structures and everything. As I draw steam engines also a lot. I like it. Railways.
Yeah.
So yeah, something old, that is old.
I think you are connected to the period times. But how long you take to finish one piece of anything?
See, you can finish using 2 hours, 3 hours also, but because of the eye, I don't want to put pressure on my eyes. So I already suffered. So I take a lot of time. I take 1 week, sometimes 1 week also. Slowly, I do slowly.
So pencils, like what kind of pencils you will use?
Color pencil, I use Faber-Castell, I use Lyra, I use another brand is also there. I use those brands. I like it. Color pencils, I use charcoal pencil also. Color pencil, charcoal pencil, sometimes graphite.
Mainly, what is the difference between charcoal pencils and graphite pencils?
Those are different. Colors are different. Charcoals is lot darker shades. You will get a darker, rich, dark shade in charcoal. Graphite you will not get. Graphite you will see a little brownish or little greyish shade. Charcoal you have a full black shades in charcoal. I am a great fan of the famous Italian artist Toppi. So he has a lot of these comics books, a lot of this ink work. His ink work is awesome. So I saw that his stories and inks are awesome, and well, I really admire him. So I have some of his books, so I follow that. And Japanese, a lot of Japanese artists are also there. They are great at ink work.
Anime is all like
anime is also there, but ink using proper ink and fine liners, they can do wonders. You'll see in many Facebook handles, I've seen it. Awesome. So art there's no definition, there is no defined boundary. You just do it. And AI has come, right? You don't even need artists now. Any AI can do anything. But again, the same thing. So people will start losing this skill, and slowly one time will come. Only 5 people will know, and the rest of the 95 people will not know anything. That era we are slowly going through and going ahead, basically towards that era. Only 5 people will have the centralized knowledge nucleus. Other 95 people will be dead. surrounding that 5 people. They don't know anything. They will not know anything. They will just command executor. Just put command, execute. Put command, execute. They may not even have brains also. They will have only hands and legs. They can execute commands. The brains will have this nucleus, 5 people. Because they will have the fundamental knowledge. These are the original artists, original these programmers, original who know the stats and everything, right? So they will have the knowledge. They will control.
And what about art as a career now? Is it?
It's tough career, tough. A lot of artists I met while meeting in exhibitions. Career is tough. Like demand is there, but you can make money through online art. Online means you can create a Facebook handle and earn from there. That is also another option. But the old way of old way of having artist career, right? Exhibition, selling of your art. That was always tough from the beginning. Now also it is tough. But exposure is there nowadays. That's the advantage. Lot of these art forums are there. Exhibitions are happening with this social media. People reach out to artists because many people reach out to me because how did I know about the exhibitions? Because they reach out to me. And sometimes I applied, but most of the time they reached out. They saw my handle, they saw my artwork, they reached out to me. Would you be interested to attend this exhibition? That way it happens.
What happens in an exhibition? Do you get a chance to sell your?
You can sell also. If somebody likes your artwork, you can also sell your work. They will select your artwork. Maybe you can submit 5 of your artworks. They will select maybe 2 or 3 to show in the exhibition. And then out of 2, maybe 1 is sold. Maybe or may not be. There is no guarantee. Some people may like it, or some people may not like it, whatever. So
what would be the price tag if you are comfortable to?
And the price tag, there is no guarantee. Some parts I didn't sell actually, but some people have sold 5,000, 10,000, 50,000. There is no. Some people are getting sold in 1 lakh also, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs. There is no guide. There is no boundary.
Which is easier, Python or pencil art?
It is difficult. Python or pencil, both are P.
Yeah.
Both are P. Which P is much easier, right?
Yes.
It is difficult actually, which P. So, both are difficult, both are easy, I would say. It has 2 different flavors, but both has creativity. If you see some of my LinkedIn posts, I always tell, even when I do Python coding to model something, statistical parameters and everything, which I write code, and with the same hand through which I am typing this Python code, with the same fingers, I'm picking up a pencil and drawing. Both are creativity. Both has 2 different flavor and both can complement each other. If you get bored with one thing, pick up another one. If you get bored with this one, pick up this one. That way, it just gives you this mental flexibility, nothing else. Because I know this, because I got fed up with the book and my eyesight started giving problem, then I picked up artwork. It gave me some relief. That way.
What would be the future of art?
As long as, this AI is doing a lot of disruptions there, right? So a lot of people nowadays, recently you saw that, right? This Ghabli, what is known as some recently released by just Ghabli style probably. So one recently it is become popular, right? So people are just converting their photos into this Ghibli style photo. Converting the Ghibli style image. So these are becoming very popular art. As long as AI is not killing the real talents, art has a future. Obviously art had a future earlier also, but the abstract art will have, because photographic art, right, nowadays the photographs are there. Nobody will portrait, people do, but what is the value of the portrait? Because you have to do some different type of art rather than hyper-realism, because hyper-realistic art has a value when the photographs was not there, camera was not there. Now the camera has come, right? The hyper-realism will not have that much value. Rather than abstract and sometimes different type of art, that's like pen, ink art, and those have something different, right? Ink art is completely something different. So those will have value. Those should have value. At least in India it may not have, but in outside I've seen those has a lot of value. So yeah, this art is like people will buy, people will look at it, people will enjoy it. I do it just to for my enjoyment, actually, for my enjoyment, just to compensate the other mental fatigue from the other side. I do my drawing work, artwork, whatever, just to cope up with the mental fatigue. That's all.
So what is your message to people of India?
People of India, I'm not that much great to say. I would say no need to copy or follow everyone. Be on yourself. Do whatever you like to do.
Yeah.
That's what I have seen. The tendency nowadays, people write, they start to copy. Hey, you are an artist, I would copy you. You are an author, I would how can I write a book? It is not about writing a book. Do you enjoy to write the book? Do you enjoy to draw a picture? If you are enjoying it, do it. If you are not enjoying it, if you are enjoying by traveling, just like a group traveler like you, do that. Who told you to draw in a picture? Nobody would tell you. Do what you like to do. That's all. Nothing. You don't have to think anything. No gyan, nothing. Do what you like to do.
Yeah.
If you like to do something, if you do that with passion, that will give you return. If not today, but definitely tomorrow. Definitely will give you return. Just have some patience. Nowadays, people don't have patience. That's the problem. They want quick result in everything. In software line also, short vision people, full with short vision people, they don't have any cognitive skill, any thinking ability, just 2 days result. They don't know how to read people also. Such a pathetic situation. In software line, situation is really pathetic, especially in data science also. Pathetic situation. So that's what you asked about the message. That's what the message. Do what you like to do. That's all. No gyan, nothing. Be light, enjoy your life, and do what you like to do. That will give you return. If not today, definitely tomorrow.
Thanks a lot for taking this much time and explaining all the knowledge that I want to gain from you. I always believe in basics, fundamentals are strong. When the foundations are strong, rest of the things are it's derivable. You can derive things. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Avishek, for sharing such a valuable information. And thank you everyone for tuning in. If you are inspired by his story, you can go ahead and check out his work. The LinkedIn and Instagram links are given in the description. And also, subscribe to the channel for more and more inspiring podcasts. Until next time, keep exploring.